Now you can have some discussion points. What's the difference in color between the flutes and clarinets and the trumpets? You can even go into tone production element. How many kids actually understand how sound is created? I used to go ahead and bring in a physics teacher once a year and talk about acoustical properties. Fascinating. The kids, they light up. Okay, so you can take that as far as you want. What else we have? Okay, new and very different color comes in measure 55 with the flutes, oboe, clarinet, saxophone, trumpet, and bells. One of these I have to hit. So now you go into going from a unison color to a more homogenized or full ensemble color. Okay? A lot of things, what are we playing off of? Auditory skills. They're starting to learn discriminatory skills. Okay? They're starting to learn something about the acoustical properties. They're starting to learn about just how the same thing can sound differently. Okay, so now we're moving into a second. That would have been, up to there would be 1 day. Okay? And now what happens is, it just doesn't stop after that slide. Now let's practice, Darren Day. Those sections, the A thing. Okay, talk more about that. Talk about blending two colors together. You know, I've always have talked about that. Saxophone and French horns. Saxophones are red. French horns are blue. I want to hear purple. That analogy makes sense to kids. It's visual, they understand it, rather than blend that sound and create one sound. Okay? So you're starting to do that in terms of your teaching strategy. Let's see what she's got. Some real simple things. Again, this is like a seventh grade band class. So one of the things that she set up is now, here's terminology sheets. So in terms of moving into content knowledge, starting to go ahead and talk about some words. You know, I've heard band directors say, anytime you see a word that's in a foreign language, it means what? Watch the conductor. Now, think about what the kid is learning in chemistry. Think about what the kid's learning, the type of terminology. And we can't expect kids to learn 10, 15, 20 musical terminology. We're really dumbing down. That's going to keep the best and brightest in your band, isn't it? That's going to go ahead and motivate the kids, right? No. Challenge them. Let them learn something. Let them get excited about something new. So, you know, don't be afraid of throwing words at them. Develop their musicianship. Okay, so now this is very long, and this is one of the things we talked about, is that this is okay, but boy, it's real slow moving, and for young kids it wouldn't work very well. But again, the idea is we're instead of talking about it, we're using technology. Play long tones with these dynamics on a concert F on my cue. So we got a fortissimo. And then it'll probably be, you know, pianissimo. And she'll just go through all of these to help the kids in terms of now, in our 3 types of comprehensive musicianship, obviously we're looking at what? Skill-based, right? Can they go ahead and play all these different dynamic levels or dynamic variations on that? It combines content knowledge, terminology, with the skill-based element. And you can go ahead and have this interactive aspect, is if you say, woodwinds listen, brass play. Or woodwinds and percussion listen, brass play. And have them talk about, okay, is that pianissimo compared to the fortissimo we established? And have them use those words. Now you're developing their musicianship. This, I'm going to skip through a lot of this because it's pretty repetitive. Okay, ways to practice dynamic control. Now they have to put in a skill-based activity. And I think this is going to go on breathing, I believe. Okay, so there are certain things, some breathing exercises to be brought into, which is going to have an impact on dynamics, which is going to have an impact on phrasing, and just kind of synthesize the entire lesson. What concepts from the last slide can be applied to the first 5 measures? You got to remember something. Telling is not teaching. Okay? Let me say that again. Telling is not teaching. Because teaching implies that they learn something. Okay? So when I tell you something, you're not going through the key element, which is critical thinking. When a student goes through a problem-solving process, they'll go ahead and internalize that. They can go ahead and apply it to another contextual setting. So now instead of saying, here's what this excerpt's all about, it's let's play it, let's talk about it. And so it'll be the same thing where you just hit the little instrument. Okay? So they're using their listening skills, they're going to go ahead and play, but they're going to start thinking about music, and they're going to be talking about music. Comments, questions, what are you thinking about? Yeah.
For the younger kids, is it fair to give them cheat sheets around the room of like, I don't know, like words they can use to help describe?
Oh, you have to do that.
That's
Yes,
right.
yeah, absolutely. And with high school as well. Yeah, you have to do that. You know, all of a sudden, I always had in my band's folders, I'd have staff paper in there and blank paper in there. And a lot of times if we had a problem with the rhythm, it was like, okay, pull out a staff paper, write out the rhythm, put it in the counting. You know, if it's something like, you know, blank piece of paper, let's go ahead and start building terminology of what we're doing. What's the difference between a high school band and a collegiate band? There's really only one difference. The age and the age. Because the age is going to be important from a developmental standpoint. Okay? You can't teach, you can't talk to a freshman the way we talk to you guys. So what else is there? Okay, the intellectual skills?
Maturity.
The what?
Maturity.
The maturity. What else? What?
The level of knowledge.
The level of knowledge and the level of skill. None of them are taking 4 semesters of history. None of them are studying privately, continuously. None of them are taking music history. Okay, think how you played when you were in high school compared to where you are now. The only difference is, were you guys regressing? the only thing different is the ability level of the player. Why are you able to play more challenging music, more music in a short period of time? Is it because of the teacher? We get the magic baton. Right? No. It's what your students bring to the table. So the thing is, why don't you build that? Why don't you spend part of your rehearsal building the individual musicianship? What do you get in return? You get someone who can read music, interpret music, and play music without being spoon-fed, without being held by the hand. That's what it comes down to. Okay? Other comments, questions? Yeah?
Would it be possible for you to send us this PowerPoint just so we can